Every trimester we get new anime. Some are good, but some are awful. And this series is here to follow the ones that are not very good. Hi beautiful people, and I'm here to ask, could it get any worse? Today we have with, written with, just to make my life worse. No, I am not tired of that joke. I decided to start with because it's one of the series I wanted to watch more of. I wanted to see how bad it could get. But the pull to see which anime I should continue with is still there. With is one with the least votes, and I'm still going to do it anyway, so I'm giving you some time so you can vote. This series is not for somebody looking to see it for the first time, so I'm just going to give spoilers and not mind if I do. I mean, follow my socials. Watching the first episode again, the beginning makes a lot more sense after you have researched the series. This series is actually a sequel to another series that I never heard of. But the beginning looks like, hey, you're going to need this information later on the series, rather than, you watched that old series? This is what happened after that. I ended up not commenting on that, but there's a guy who just have a lot of junk in the trunk. And it's not like he's a little overweight or he has a rounder butt. No, he's thin and then he has a circle there. I also completely forgot that there is a little piece of future prediction, if you will, but it's so poorly inserted that you can't really separate information you might need from the past to this is going to happen in the future. So much so that it might be from the past and I'm just getting it wrong again. But more importantly, that big butt guy is called Bun Bun by the woman, which in Brazil is a name for butt. So I have to assume they know he has a 2-chair seat. Why is this guy making coffee outside his house? The dad's friend is kind of flirting with him a little, which is kind of odd because the drawing style reminds me of that Aoba one. He's not saying anything wrong, his attitude is not wrong, he's just wearing really weird pants, which you could interpret as a target. That knife's still hilarious to me, so ridiculous that it is. But I also noticed that they draw her skirt really short on the first time she shows up. It's not that short in the other ones, so why? I kinda like the humor more in the second watch. I also tolerated the song a little more, maybe because I was expecting it to be bad. Everybody here is waiting for someone from the player characters to have a random encounter. That little girl, completely different world, but she doesn't take a step. The mask continues to be something so noticeable to me, especially now because I noticed that his black mask is not so noticeable. So why not give her a black mask too? So in the first time I said that the app seems to be based by geography, which seems kind of ridiculous. But watching again, it seems that they go to the other world after she suggests that he makes a PV. But they don't have a camera. Did nobody notice that they would have to have a camera to record this? And if they are there because it's based on geography, he went there knowing that they might find him. It makes sense to go to the other world to record a video because it's so vibrant and beautiful, but they need to have a camera. And the enemies seem to have a battery for some reason. Why is she waving her gun around before shooting? And breath shaking for no reason. And of course the CD sword, which might be the biggest reason why I wanted to watch this again. This is so completely ridiculous, and it seems to be put together with a bike chain. And it's not as if they established that he has to use his equipment and that's why he is using CDs to make a sword. No, the equipment is there. This was created as is because somebody thought it would be cool to have a CD sword. This is the kind of thing that you put as an extra item on your RPG. Funny, but not necessary. I'm starting to realize this video is becoming like the Neo Yokio video, but I wanted to do something in that style again, so it's no problem. This whole fight scene doesn't work for me because of many little details that basically come down to the production doesn't know what it's doing. The erratic movement here doesn't really convince me because the camera changes angle kinda weird. The guy twirls around the air to get into position, but it doesn't seem necessary or well done. The girl jumping on the guy seemed like it was going to work, but then it looks kinda weird afterwards. The main character seems to have two swords only when it's convenient, and when it's not, they just pretend the other sword is not there. The girl who's in love with her partner has to declare her love in the middle of the fighting. And I know that's not what she means canonically, but that just makes it worse. Why would you stop yourself if it's not even love? She's not even lovey-dovey if that's the case. And of course, the guy is so awesome that he actually is able to guide the shooters so they shoot at each other instead of him, even though there is no reason for him to get off the ground until now. And there's a handshaking icon. God damn it! That's not considering that they stop in the middle of the fight to give the English name of what they are doing, even though they probably would have done that a bunch of times already. Of course, conceptually, the idea of them having to hold hands is very poorly used. One of those people would be an anchor to the other, so the fight could be really interesting, but no, they just have to recharge. And so the main character can escape. The enemies fight against each other, for absolutely no reason. The opening, on the other hand, is not that bad. The water on her face looks fake, as well as them on the train, the guy on the snow, them in front of a London bus, and the two chair guys stop zooming out before the rest of the scene. And this yellow kind of irritates me. But it's not that bad, it's 6 bad. It's not 10 like the fight scene. But then again, I'm going to have to see this again. Him using DJ language is starting to be a little annoying because it's looking really forced. Damn, those eyes. I honestly don't know if the characters popping up from the background like this is a good thing. It kinda makes you feel the background is bad, even though it clearly isn't. But this change in angle with stickers of them, it's clearly not good. I mean, it's so out of nowhere. You'd think it's from the Ren and Stimpy guy. Then they pass the knob of a vault, for some reason, into one of the most plastic environments I have ever seen. And in the middle of hospital beds and equipment that would make you think of Rojin Z, he starts to have flashbacks as if he knew her, but she's in another life, and he's a baby, and maybe he's his mother, but she's shown as attractive. He almost holds her hand to try to stand up, even though it's something that he knows he cannot do for his whole life. Have you considered mints? And a buffet to show that what matters is looking good. The doctor seems to be a rich person in time if that world was created by the guy from Dokoro-chan, but have some cake. And she speaks as if she is the perpetually sick character. Then again, it looks like she's made of paper, and for some reason when we repeat these angles, she looks very bright and they look darker. The characters look like they are in different rooms, if not in different anime. And the other world is a ziggurat, and they have to stop and explain everything that's happening, even though it's pretty obvious. But she has a mission, so he has to use the power he doesn't want to have. Damn, those eyes. Hey, the threats are threats. You already know this, but he's finding out now, so we are going to repeat even though you already know this. And she's going to ask all the former handshakers to help him, and he has no reason to think that's going to benefit him in any way, but he smiles anyways. The two guys want to live in the ziggurat? Not that that makes any sense. One of them is an idiot who thinks he can steal a space bus from there. And the other one wants to be away from the useless people, which seems to be describing the first guy. The girl complained that the enemies got in her way, even though she was the one who decided not to follow the main character. And these two seem to be a metaphor for lesbians who want to be accepted. But they clearly can do a lot. I mean, have you considered mints? The two are following information from someone who helps handshakers who don't want to fight. And for some reason, them getting the power of the guy who can get into the ziggurat with anybody means they don't have to go into the ziggurat? How? We have to have the jealousy scene. But then she kids about it, and they suggest that he might have fallen for the doctor? What? And when he gets home, even though there's interesting lighting, his mother has the design of a hentai character. And his father is really angry with him, but he has to pose 'cause he's cool. Night, because I couldn't see the last episode and do the commentary on the same day. The episode starts with a guy floating on a motorcycle to match the ones in the opening, and I only noticed watching the opening for a second time, but they are floating there and the steps fit on their asses. It still makes more sense than a CD sword. Then we have scenery that calls your attention for being really geometric. A quick line from the main character that kinda makes you laugh. Scenery that's much better done, where his partner thinks he's going to confess his love, which is actually the joke that just worked, but they are recycling it anyways, right away. Then realizing it mustn't be it, having a flashback, going to meet with him, and then we go into a restaurant. And all of that takes exactly 50 seconds. I imagine someone noticed there isn't much actual content in the episodes and got desperate, or it's a legitimate attempt at humor, which would be even more desperate. And he says that he deleted that video because of the weird comments? Did YouTube watch this and thought this was a good idea? So, despite this conversation not actually being interesting, because I have no question that his partner remembers what happened back then, and he is trying to tell her how he feels without revealing what happened that she already knows, you could at least say that he regretted his actions, and this is growth for the character. Except he's only doing this to ask her help on deleting the copies of the video. Hey dudes, nobody told you to try to be Jam. She is truly outrageous. Truly, truly, truly outrageous. The two-seater shows up and makes interjections, which looks like a clumsier inclusion than the sequence that started the episode. And then someone serves a cup of oil. And this guy is holding his big sister's hands while she says she's jealous because he prefers the guy on the bar's coffee. Because yuri baiting and yaoi baiting isn't enough. If you're going to go to the kind of Oba style, you have to have incest. But the main guy's father comes to fight on his yellow Snickers. He doesn't punch the guy, of course not. He just holds him by his collar. For I don't know how long, but the guy pouring him some coffee calms him down? I mean, I know the idea is that he knows these people and they could calm him down, but it's literally, hey, I would like you to taste this. And the two laugh at each other's motivations while their big-breasted partners comment. I mean, the anime wants you to see tits so much that there's even an angle to show the minuscule teacher with a bigger rack. Hey, she having been a handshaker is the reason why she doesn't grow up. It took a while for you to give an excuse. Honestly, I would respect the anime more if they just owned up that they wanted to have an adult lolly. Really, look at this angle and tell me that her design was not meant for a hentai. And after he says that his son was born and raised in the ziggurat, we see that his son was gotten from the Society of the Blind Eye. For the greater good. We see that the teacher has the power to float in a weird angle with her head totally on profile, but the body kinda weird. And how tall is the guy behind the bar? The whole scene is to talk about the importance of the kid and his power, but it's all given so directly that you might as well have a character look directly at the camera and start a Shakespearean soliloquy. And of course, they become stickers in the end. Oh, and the mother's breasts look even less real for each new angle. Dad talking about violence being bad, mother trying to be motherly, and the serious conversation is stopped by a sex joke, because clearly this series is for people who wouldn't mind V-shaped tits. The worst part is, if it wasn't rushed so much, / wasn't done with so little attention, these designs could work, but then she would have to have less tits. So no. The teacher takes the main character's hand, and his eye flickering looks like he's having some sort of attack. She leans against him like no one who doesn't have sexual feelings for him would, but it's not fan service, no, of course not. By the way, she presents everybody in the cafe as knowing about handshakers, even though we know since the other episode that she was going to introduce him to former handshakers. She squeezes his hand even more. He seems to need to control himself to hold it in. The short one laughs. The older sister pulls out the lover's card saying it's up. That must be why he has to control himself. But all of that is not fan service, how dare you! The couple yuri themselves, showing that their breasts are higher than pillows. But at least when the other couple yaoi itself, the guy who is shown as dumb so far has a little more personality. And a guy who's shown fixing a car in the beginning of the episodes is shown getting home. It's actually not a bad cliffhanger, but you need to give this character some importance before it happens. So, could it get worse? Yes! The only thing I actually got from these episodes is that this series seems to bank itself on another series' popularity. The dialogue in the first episode seemed to be much better than the dialogue in these 2 episodes. I noticed some artistic failures in the first episodes, but in the second and the third, they are much more frequent. And I have to be sincere here, a Battle Royale series can be very interesting, but this is not what they are giving us. And I know there are 3 more episodes. If you like this, I might see the other 3 as well. But that's it, what did you think of Wiz? Leave it on the comments, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye! And if you enjoyed it, please like, share, sub to the channel, and hit that bell.